Hey peeps, welcome to NasTime Adventures. Today, as you can see, I've got the brand new Adventure Kings Grand Tourer rooftop tent out. We're going to test it for leaks, give it a bit of a seasoning at the same time. Got 4 different tests to do. Let's get into it. So Ford Drive Supercenter brought out this brand new version, the MK3. They've made a lot of changes to it. A lot of the changes seem to focus around water protection. So they've introduced what they call the 4-stage water ingress protection. Essentially what that means, number one, there's no rivets or holes. As you can see, the roof, it has a really nice clean finish. So if you look around the side, there's actually a design where you can actually bolt fittings onto it without actually going through the rooftop tent. They've also introduced what they call a pinch seal. Essentially that means that the seal actually sits behind, not glued to the top, and it seems to be much firmer, much nicer. Definitely looks like it's going to hold up a lot better than the previous one. They've also introduced what they call extrusion design. Essentially what that means is there's a bit of a lip on the rooftop tent, and when it closes it actually overlaps and it actually sits quite nicely, so there's a lot less chance of any dust or water getting through. On top of all that, all the joints are sealed. Now all the joints seem to be mainly focused on the corners. They have used apparently high quality sealant. And today we're going to give it a bit of a test. I've actually got 4 tests to do, and we're going to give it a good run. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. I don't know what to expect. Let's get into it. Our first test for today is simulating storage. It's sitting in the driveway, it starts to rain. So what's going to happen? I've taken out the mattress. I will be upgrading that at some stage anyway, and I've laid paper around the edges, across the middle, so if it gets wet inside, we'll know straight away. I'm going to grab the hose, we'll give it a good spray, simulate the water coming down from on top, give it a nice traditional rain if we can, and see what happens. Okay, so time to check inside. Let's have a look. There you go. As you can see, not a drop inside. Let's go to test number 2. Test number 2, we're camping in the rain. We're going to do our best to simulate the rain straight from the top. Let's get into it. Well, there you go. As expected, that's held up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Probably a couple of drops in there from when I opened the flap, but overall, doesn't look like there's any water in there. Let's get on to test number 3. So for test number 3, we're camping in a storm. We're going to try and simulate the water coming in sideways, blowing an absolute gale. Let's see how we go. Well, there we go. We finally broke it. We've got a little bit of water in there. Just a few drops really. I'm not overly concerned. I mean, we were spraying it pretty hard and spraying it sideways. Possibly water's gone in through the zip or through one of the joints. But overall, I think it's held up pretty good. And I'm not concerned about that at all. So let's get on to test number 4. So for test number 4, we're going to simulate driving in a storm. In the Mark II, they actually added a seal across the front, but sometimes there'd be some movement in that seal. So if you're driving 100 k's across a freeway somewhere, it potentially could get water penetrating into the rooftop tent. Now, this seal does seem a lot more solid. I'm confident that it's going to be a lot better, but let's find out. Well, there you go. That's held up pretty good. I can't see any water inside. I'd say that's a success. Wow, so there you go, guys. That's some pretty harsh conditions we put it through. I'm pretty happy overall. We did get a few drops inside, but considering it's never been seasoned, I think we did pretty good. Those conditions too, probably a little bit above anything you'd expect in the real world. So overall, I think it's done well. One more test that I'd like to consider, and that's condensation. So what I'm likely to do is just get one of those moisture absorbent bags, little buckets, put it in there and leave it in there for a few weeks to see if it actually does absorb any moisture or get any condensation in there. Outside of that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this test and you got something out of it. A little bit of a surprise for all of us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Really helps the channel. Love to see you all again. Catch you next week, guys. Thanks for coming.